what called my attention to Greenacres was the CUPE report, which was a report that created a lot of publicity, negative publicity, in 1981. Why had things gone so terribly wrong? Between the time the facility was opened in 1956 to great acclaim and to great fanfare, and the time of the CUPE report, the expose, what did they find that was so bad? Well, let's just look at three things. What was it like for the residents, for these 625 residents, almost all of whom had severe issues with dementia care, cognitive behavioral issues, to be put together in this three-story building with 80 people per floor, per unit rather. What was it like for family members whose relatives were there? And what was it like to work as a staff member in a facility this large with this kind of specialized population? Well, what was discovered very quickly on was that, first of all, creating the facility in Newmarket meant, and where 70% of the residents were not from Newmarket, they were coming from Toronto itself, a long way away, meant that it was very difficult for family members to visit their loved ones or their spouses or their parents or whoever, siblings who ended up in Greenacres. It was often a 2-hour bus ride. It could be expensive. It was far away for the standards of the day. And it was hard to get there if you were working too, in terms of commuting. So it was a poor choice of location just because of family visiting and family care. Secondly, the very purpose of creating it, to put a lot of people in one building, meant in a sense you were warehousing a very difficult population, a problem population. And warehousing 625 people with high behavioral issues, high issues of bodily functions, high issues of behavioral needs, issues of problems around care, meant that the conditions they received were difficult for people delivering the care. These were 4-bed rooms. The population was constantly larger than the number of staff who were available to care for them. So problems of understaffing were there from the beginning in the 1950s. They got worse in the 1960s, and you began to get reports of deaths due to falls, due to injuries, people choking on the bed rails on their beds, people falling down over the railings of the auditorium, people falling off loading docks because they were able to get out of the building. The building was very hot. It was not air conditioned. And so you had issues of heat prostration in the summertime. Residents dying 14, 15 in the summer of 1969 alone, dying from heat prostration, which drew media report. You also got what was revealed in the 1981 expose by CUPE, who sent surveys and did extensive interviews with the 240 staff members who were working there, who complained passionately about the assembly line conditions of care that they had to provide to these residents. They had to wake them up at 5:30 in the morning because there was only 4 staff for 80 residents per unit, just to get them all out of bed, dressed in their wheelchairs and into the dining room, because they would only have 30 to 40 minutes to feed them. And if you can imagine trying to feed somebody with a behavioral problem, with issues of confusion, with dementia, that's not enough time to do all those tasks. When they were fed, they had to be toileted. There were not private washrooms in any of these facilities. There were public washrooms, open stalls. They were wheeled in one door, 3, 4 at a time, no privacy, toileted en masse, diapered en masse, and pushed out the other side into the sunroom, where they would sit with restraints, either physically belted to their wheelchairs or restrained by their trays across their wheelchairs for the rest of the day until it was time to be wheeled in for supper time and then put to bed. So there was very few attempts at social activities. There was not enough time, and this is one of the things that came through in the staff reports to CUPE, who was interviewing them, not enough time to talk to the residents. Staff went into care because they wanted to interact with their residents, but they complained loudly they didn't have enough time because it was such a stressed, factory-like environment for caring with this population. And finally, it was very difficult for the residents themselves because it was crowded, it was smelly. That was the most common complaint of staff, family, and visitors. And it was an unpleasant environment to provide good quality care.